The King of England, Charles Mountbatten, is financially benefiting from the death of his own soldiers. That's right, he inherits money from the estates of people killed under certain circumstances. I want to go through what those circumstances are and tell you that it's time we change this. This man is a coward who wants to give succor to the enemy, and I do not believe that he should benefit, should any war come about, from the loss of our own people in our own country, his own soldiers. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do support the Patriot Fund. We have backed people who've been in trouble with the police. We have supported people attempting to be evicted by landlords, and we have attempted to stop ethnic cleansing and supported the Free Speech Union and the Women's Safety Initiative. Donations below are greatly received and well applied. Okay. So let's go back to the history of this. The dukedoms of Lancaster and Cornwall are given respectively to the King and the Prince of Wales. Now, the Prince of Wales is an unpaid position, so the Duchy of Cornwall pays for it entirely. And that's fair enough, and King Charles made that 4 times as profitable as it was under his predecessor. But let's just be clear on one thing that is significant. The Duchy of Lancaster, when somebody dies in Lancashire and they don't have a will, that money is inherited by the Duchy and therefore by the King. That includes people who die in the line of duty, whether they be a police officer, whether they be a sailor in the Coast Guard, because obviously Lancashire's got a big coastline, whether they die in a nuclear accident at Sellafield serving the country, or whether they die in the military. And of course, because of the large population of Lancashire, in any war, the King will inherit large amounts of money, simply because there are so many soldiers that are killed in Lancashire. And of course, they will all, those ones that don't have family, don't have a will or family, then the King will inherit that money. I don't think that it's appropriate to do that, and I'll tell you why. So first of all, the King is the Commander-in-Chief of the British military. And if the Commander-in-Chief of the British military has a financial vested interest in his own soldiers dying, then that is a crazy situation to be in. But moreover, I think that things have got out of control in terms of the King and the royal family's personal spending. Everybody remembers that enormously fat King, the Regent, George IV, who built Brighton Pavilion, who effectively put that Portland extension on Buckingham Palace and rebuilt Windsor Castle. He was an enormous spender of money. His profligate spending was so incredible that they actually named a type of furniture, a type of style, as Regency style in honour of when he took over from his father, because his father had gone mad. But even in those days, this man was funded by the British taxpayer. The only money that he really spent was money that was awarded to him by Parliament. And yet increasingly, since Queen Victoria, the royal family have claimed more and more money for themselves personally. Stuff that I'm not so sure ought to be considered their personal property. I mean, let's give you an example. The Royal Trust Collection. Well, okay, the Royal Collection Trust, rather. All of these paintings that adorn the walls of palaces, the royal family now decide, well, it's not their property anymore. They've put it into a trust for the nation, which gives it tax-exempt status. So what they are able to do is charge people to look at all the paintings that are in trust for them, and then mitigate all the tax against what would have otherwise been paid had it been a private collection. That's the reason, by the way, if you go to Windsor Castle, or indeed any of the other royal palaces, they try and get you to give to get an annual pass. The reason for the annual pass is this: if you pay for a ticket to come in, they have to pay VAT and tax on it. If you make an annual donation and go in for free all year, then they don't pay any tax at all. But that is now enriching them in a massive way. And there is a problem. When the Germans initially came over under King George I, they were just arbiters. They were quite foreign to the United Kingdom, and they would arbitrate disputes between various factions in the British government as effectively fairly independent people. But Charles Mountbatten is now a billionaire in his own right, and now he's got all of this money and financial interest in things like the ferry across the Mersey. The gangway goes over the land that he's got because he has the shorelines, and so he charges rent on that. Then similarly, all of the military that practice in Brecon, that land is owned by the king as well. So he charges rent to his own military to train to fight under his name. Hopefully they don't fight too well, so he can inherit some money off them. I think it's time that we unravelled the personal and the professional financial arrangements of the royal family, simply because this country is becoming increasingly a joke because of the establishment. And we know that the establishment are behaving badly. And Charles Mountbatten is the head of that establishment. And we now know that he's got his hand in the till to a colossal extent. His son William, of course, is now refusing to pay taxes. Well, he doesn't have to. It's only voluntary for them anyway. I think that now there needs to be legislation, not to cut the royal family off financially. I mean, most of us know that things like Buckingham Palace are there for show, in the same way as Versailles is often used by the French president, even though he actually lives in the Élysée Palace. I think all of those things are all fine, but you have to have a fair system where you don't have people financially benefiting, because we've all seen the way that MPs have financially benefited from their position and the way that that has poisoned and toxified the system. But the British Parliament was much better when members of Parliament were unpaid. I personally would return back to that, so they're unpaid and get expenses only. But anyhow, we can debate that at a later date. What is going on at the moment with the earnings of Charles is not acceptable. But in general, what Charles is doing is not acceptable, because now they've departed so far from what their actual job is that they're starting to do something completely different. I've made previous videos on this channel about the fact that Charles Mountbatten is very good at baby kissing, but isn't very good at doing the actual job for which he is paid to do. He's not interested in the judicial appointments. He's not interested in House of Lords appointments. He's farmed all that off to other government departments, quangos effectively, HOLAC and the Judicial Appointments Committee. So he's not doing the things that he's supposed to do. He's not looking at the vetoing of laws. Instead, he's much more interested in his own financial position and the financial position of his family. And I think that we have learnt to our cost the damage that that has done. Because why is he such an Islamophiliac? Is it because he has some heartfelt belief in the Quran? Well, that's possible. I don't know the man, but I think it's much more likely that he sees an enormous financial benefit to working with the wealthy Arab regimes of places like Qatar and Saudi Arabia, these other royal families that put him on a pedestal and also personally have enormous sums of money that they can give to him. I've always believed, by the way, that his brother, Prince Andrew, is actually principally somebody who liked taking money off people rather than the weirdo that he's been made out to be in the media. But I know a lot of you disagree on that point. Please do donate to Patriot Fund. The link is below. We'll get the email update out. We're currently being stopped by our email provider, but don't worry, we'll cut through it. Until next time, goodbye.